Hey, 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 hey. How you doing? Welcome to the Tarot Flow Show, the Tarot Flow Show where synchronicity is the star. I am your host, Alison Pickering, and I am so happy today, as I always am, to bring in my co-host from Stockholm, Sweden, the student of all things spiritual, Mr. Wonderful Kefri Skarabus. Welcome, Kefri, to the stage.
Thank you, Alison.
How
Nice
are
to
you
be
doing?
here as always.
It's great to have you. I see you've already
Thank
started
you.
shuffling. So let's see what we
Yeah.
have in store today. We have a
Yeah.
wonderful guest. I haven't seen her since I was
Wonderful.
in high school. High
Oh, how
school at
exciting.
Hollywood High School. And so here we have our special guest today. She is a recording artist. She facilitates women's retreats. She is a spiritual speaker with her positive messages. And I had originally read that she's a spiritual seeker. And indeed, she is. She's a fellow seeker of the light. Please welcome from Hollywood High School, but now in San Rafael, after swimming on the relay team of the English Channel, swimming the Bay, swimming Lake Tahoe, swimming from one island to the other in Hawaii. I am always amazed to learn about the accomplishments of my dear fellow students. And please welcome Karen Drucker. Yay,
Yay!
Karen!
Hi.
Hi,
Amazing.
everybody. Oh, it's so fun to be with you, Allison, to see you again after all these years.
All these years, it's been more than 40, and we won't talk about it with any more specificity than that because it's
Yeah.
actually almost 50 since we saw each other last, which is crazy,
Yes,
crazy. We have
crazy.
sung together in choir. We have swum together in a pool, but you kept on doing it. And so tell us a little bit about your life, your music, your spiritual work. What would you like to share with us today before we jump into our crazy reading?
Well, I always talk about the concept that life is a zigzag path. You never know what's going to happen, but if you are a seeker and if you're open to spirit and the universe and all that kind of good stuff, you are just led. And yeah, leaving Hollywood was a big deal for me because everyone kept going, well, wait a minute, you want to be a singer-songwriter. Why would you leave the place where it all happens? But my soul just knew I was dying there. I was not going to flourish and I needed to get away. Moved to San Francisco, became a comedian. I was playing all the comedy clubs, doing musical comedy, and just did all this kind of stuff. And then eventually got into just through all these different means, got into doing spiritual music meaning just positive message music. And I have 22 albums out of what I've written and recorded. And my focus a lot of times is really with people with healing, with people going through cancer. I have a lot of positive message songs like, you are healed, whole, and healthy. And, and that's really been my passion. And then that got into doing women's retreats and bringing women together to sing together and pray and talk deeply. And I'm just, I'm on the path. Any kind of spiritual or anything that opens up my heart more or enlightens me on any level, I'm all there. So it's amazing that we have connected again in this realm.
Indeed it is. And Kefri, don't we have the world's best guest?
Yeah, we have.
Well,
We
you
really
create
do.
it. You're creating it because of who
No,
you
no,
are.
it's just so amazing because not only in the and this is a bit of a high school reunion this show has been with all kinds of people from Hollywood to see all of the different life paths that
Right.
people have forged for themselves and all the good work they're doing. And it's just very inspiring to me. So I'm so happy and pleased that you've come on the show, and I hope that this is a useful process for you.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm thrilled.
Let's check out what we're going to be doing. So we've had a chance to briefly meet you, and we can talk a little bit about tarot if you like. We're going to jump in kind of right away to the randomness and have you pick a number between 1 and 22. We'll look at a focused major arcanum, and then we'll have a reading. Let's take a look at what all this is going to be. And then for anybody out there who's watching, A, thank you for watching. B, if you stick around to the end, you'll find out more. And then C, just if in general, come on down to AlisonPickering.com because we have an academy coming up, our Follow Your Road Academy with modules and classes. We have the show that you're welcome to come on. come on down. And then we also are going to have meetup events and travel with some cruises and some land travel in Italy with a tour to Tarot Origins and all kinds of stuff like that in the years upcoming. So I'm very excited about the business that we have. Maybe we'll even have some musical retreats. Let's see what life brings us, because I have begun singing again. And that's been a real missing element in my life. It was it's a long story when I shut the door on that at the age of 35. But now 30 years later, let's open it back up, shall we say. And so anyway, let's take a look at the major arcana. You probably know, Karen, that this is not a man, it's not a woman, it's just a picture of an archetype, of the major archetype that lives within everyone, which is this idea of a spirit who has come into manifestation to learn whatever crazy lessons there are to learn here. And what might those lessons be? The soul lessons are depicted here in the major arcana. And this is going to be a vast oversimplification just in the interest of time. But, and you can check on the channel, there is a 12-minute video that goes a little bit more in depth on the major and minor. But top row, basically internal capacity and early lessons. Middle row, lessons of adulthood, things that we go through, trials, shall we say. And in the bottom row then is the idea of states of consciousness. How are we thinking? What are the kinds of ways that our consciousness is directed? And from the first card, the Magician with his single wand, to the last card, number 21, the World card with her double wands, that's the same full figure. It's the same full figure on the little horse in the Sun card. It's the same figure hung upside down in the Hanged Man card. We are all of us in this adventure somehow or other. And so as we look at these, Karen, between, let's say, number 1 and 22, because there are 22 cards, which card right now would you like to open up and just unpack? Not a reading per se, but we're just going to look at what all is contained in a tarot card.
Sure. I love it. 10.
10. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And card number 10 is the Fool. He's our major of the majors. Let's go ahead and put him up there and check him out. So generally speaking, when we are looking at the tarot cards, we can get a holistic impression. And words come to mind, feelings come to mind, and then we can go in like little accountants and start itemizing all of the things in there. So let's start with the whole, and then we'll go into our accountant mode. Personally, when I see this, I get the idea of taking a jump, taking the leap. Karen, what comes to mind for you when you see this card? Anything in particular?
Oh, I love it. Is he on a kind of a precipice of a mountain? That's me. I'm constantly jumping off of mountains going, okay, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm just going to jump. I'm going to see. I'm constantly reinventing myself. And it's interesting. Wonderful. What is the little dog that's...
Well, let's jump on in. Kefri, tell us some of the symbols that are in this Fool card, please.
It's the Fool, and the Fool is going through all the cards, as you have been saying, Alison, and he has that staff, and he has a purse on the end of the staff, and that is the memory he has with him. And you can look at that you have memories that you come here within this life and reality that you really can't explain where they come from, but you bear them with you, and that is indicated here. And you also see the red feather here on him that goes back to the planet Mars, actually, with a red collar. So he has that determination inside of him to do things in life, and he has no hesitation because he has not been subjected to so much in life, or he has been subjected to everything in life. So he knows what life is, and he knows that this is about taking chances. This is not about fear and to be afraid of stepping over that cliff, actually, and falling, because there is something in this card, and there is a crystal bridge here that we can't see that he will step out on if he takes that step out of the cliff, actually. Wow. So he will not fall, actually. And also we have all those red inside of his mantle here or dress, and that is also like fire. It's like he is on fire actually, but the element for this card is actually air, and it is the primary air of the creation of the life actually. It's not the elementary air, it's the primary air, the air of the alchemical reaction, so to speak. So this is a high vibration. And also if you look at the sun here, the sun is white actually, it's not yellow, and that is also taking us straight up in the tree of life, in the Kabbalistic tree of life, to the highest point, the crown, that is the crown of this reality and life, and that is the spiritual inflow in this life actually, the support from a higher medium, so to speak. So that is a bit of what is in here.
Just
Well,
a
this-
bit. Just a bit.
This
Go
is
ahead.
all me. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And then there's a couple other things on this. You can notice that there's high
Yeah.
mountains in behind and then a lower valley. So there's the idea that he's jumping down into a valley, but that valley is probably higher than other places that he had been before, you know, so every peak is a little bit higher. And then the little doggy in the background is kind of like our instinctive self, our fears. So they're, you know, saying, don't do it, it's too scary. But the spirit is willing, you know, that idea of the willingness. And so it's a very beautiful card. And the garment is very decorated, which also indicates that it's probably not his first go round. We will see that feather. It's very lively in some cards. In the death card, it's very fallen down in terms of the lack of vitality or the presence of vitality. And then this purity of intent in the white rose. And so all of these cards are just chock full of symbols. The Rider-Waite deck in particular, you keep scratching and it keeps on going deeper and deeper. And so that's why we are using this. So that's our Fool. I'm so pleased that that is emblematic of you and your adventures in life. And I can see you like taking the leap in so many different things. And if nothing else, like into the water, you know. And
Literally,
swimming in the
yes.
water, and that's such a metaphor for life itself. So
It
hats off
is.
to you.
Like swimming is my most spiritual thing I do, I feel.
Wow,
Yeah.
very good. So
Love it.
here we're going to come on back. So we did see, we had a chance to very briefly look at the major arcana, and then we also have another 2/3 of the deck, a bit more than 2/3 of the deck, and that's the minors. And you can see here the 4 suits of the minors. We have the fire in the wands card. We have the water in the cups suit. We have the air in the swords suit and the earth in the pentacles suit. And if we think of this in a Kabbalistic way, rather than going left to right, if we flipped it kind of top to bottom, then the wands would be the suit of spark, of like ideas, of inspiration, of intuition. We don't know where it comes from. We don't really control it, but we can sometimes contact it and respond to it. And that's the wands. Those are our values. They're what get us fired up and keep us going. If that idea is going to come into any closer into reality, then it has to be cared about. And so there's that idea of infusing it with love and care and emotion. You can see the quest in that night below. Then if that's going to be carried into the reality, then you're probably going to have to get analytical, make a list, make a sequence, plan it out. That's the sword suit of intellect and air. And you can see the mission that night is on. And then finally into the body, into the physical, into the 3D, which is represented by that pentacle with a 5-pointed star. We have 5 senses in our body with which we deal with the world. The body is our currency in the world, and our medium is time. And the medium being time is slow, and that's why our knight down there is very slow. He's guarding the crop. He's guarding the field. There's that idea that it takes time for the crop to come into harvest. It needs to be guarded. You need to be trustworthy. You need to see things through, etc. And so this is a quick introduction into the minor arcana. We can take a look at our fiery wands here, 1 through 10, and then the court cards of page, knight, king, and queen. You would see the fiery symbols in those court cards, and then the watery cups, the progressions of an emotional journey perhaps, and then the watery symbols in those court cards. We can see the air and the coolness of the intellect. Also the power of the word and how it can move things forward, but it can also really wound. And our internal language can be very difficult sometimes. And then we also have our earth sign with the pentacles, relationships, contracts, businesses, all the earth symbols in those court cards. And so that's our visual vocabulary between the majors and the minors that we're going to take into our reading today, Karen, for you. And what we're going to do is 7 cards. The top middle is going to be what the issue at hand is. You can direct us or not. And then we can look on the bottom at some kind of a timeline. Maybe this is anchored in the now and we're looking at what happened, what's going on now, and what's coming up in the future. Or maybe this already happened and we're just getting some perspective on it. With this, it has happened both ways here. On the top left, we'll get some cautionary advice. Don't do that, avoid that. And then on the top right, this is the support. This is where the spiritual support is. This is the more recommended direction. And then at the end, we'll pull a perspective card. If there are majors in our reading, then each of those corresponds to a Hebrew letter. And we may be able to put a word together from those letters, and that can give some additional sauce to the reading, so to speak. And just to be transparent about it, when we read, we do tend to try and read Kabbalistically. Kefri, would you mind putting up a picture of the Tree of Life, please?
Of course. There we have it.
So when we look at the Tree of Life here, we can see the idea of this kind of ladder back up to source. This is probably not the first time you're seeing this image, but let's say that the source image is, the source is the crown up at the top, that white light. Down the middle is the sun or the child of God in that yellow spot. It's the place of beauty. There's the purple place of what's above us, let's say in the astral. And then down where we are down in the what's called Malkuth, or the kingdom. And that's where we have the 4 worlds, and everything else is the spiritual journey. Each of the majors corresponds to one of those pathways. And so this is just getting an idea. So when I read kind of lower down on the tree. I read how this is going to play out on the day-to-day. And then Kefri might be reading at the psychological and spiritual and how this is playing out in the internal planes. And so in that way, we're attempting to give a Kabbalistic interpretation to this throw of the cards, because we go along in life in our little timeline, and once in a while we have a chance to pause for a second and see what the moment contains. And that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to hand off at this point to Kefri to do the reading. Might you have any questions at this point, Karen, for before we jump in?
I love it. No, I have no questions. This is just way fun.
Wonderful. All right. So I'm going to hand off to Kefri now. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison. And Karen, I am shuffling the deck and you say stop where you want the stop to be.
Okay. And stop.
There. And how many times do you want to cut the deck if you want to cut it?
Twice.
Twice. 1 and 2. There we are. And we have the subject card up here in the middle in the top row. And it is the Ace of Wands. There it is. And then we go in the bottom row and we have the leftmost card that is your past. And this is a friend that we know because it is the Fool. And then we have the present card in the middle there, and it is the 9 of Cups. And then we have the rightmost card in the bottom row, and that is the future card, and that is the Strength card. And then we go up in the top row, and we have the leftmost card there, and that is the cautionary card, what is not to do. And that is the Word card. And then we go in the rightmost direction there, and that is the Advice card, what is good to do. And that is the 2 of Pentacles. And we will wait with the 7th card for now, and Alison will come back.
Thank you. Well, this is firstly lots of majors. And so we can see here that it's 50-50. Just the 6 cards we have half of them are majors, which, far outweighs the 1/3, 2/3 kind of proportion that's in the deck in general. So this is a big thing for you. This is a big, so let's put up that Ace of Wands, please, Kefri. And Kefri's going to be busy deciphering the Hebrew between the 3 letters. That's a lot. Going to have like 6 words now. So in the Ace of Wands, so you've got a new idea. Something has come upon you and you think that would be a cool direction. This is something you have just had a little inspiration to, or it's a new thing that you have on the brain right now. I would say perhaps this is just a new season of events, but there is a newness that you're contemplating. And along the bottom is this gorgeous timeline. So let's take a look at this. Just look at it firstly. It's all golden yellow. So it's a very blessed period that you're in the middle of right now. This idea that you are a child of God and you are spreading the word is right there in it. So firstly, whatever it was that began this, so whatever this new, it seems like this Ace of Wands is a new iteration of something that's already in play, but it's a new flavor, it's a new sauce, it's a new kind of notion of what to do with this. It was already something that was very satisfying to do. So it was something that represented a big direction for you, a big jump, a big thing that you took on, and you did it without. Well, you mentioned that this is something that you do, so it's very characteristic for you to have embarked on this. And let's take that trajectory from that initial beginning where you were willing and jumped and just put energy into it, into this current time. Kefri, would you put up that 9 of Cups?
Yeah.
And with the 9, then we can see that it has been a really satisfying journey or a satisfying endeavor, and it has kept you busy. It has, it's kind of like running a restaurant that everybody loves and you're working your butt off and everybody's so happy and they're like, this is the greatest place in the world. And you're like, yes, but I need a break. So exactly. So it's keeping you busy and that's good. And it doesn't look like it's going to abate too much, but as you go into the future, let's look at that strength card. So I do believe that what you're going to need to do is get some systems into place, because this thing is got its own momentum to it. And you need to figure out a way to manage it so that it doesn't consume you. And so that the emotions that it brings up don't consume you, because perhaps this is such a happy thing, but what comes to mind is some kind of grief work that you're doing, and it can be very consuming. So I don't know if that's off base, but it did come to mind with the idea that whenever you're doing big emotional work, in order to do it authentically, you kind of have to participate, in which case it can be rather wrenching all the time. And so you have to marshal a lot in order to be authentic in this work. And so it looks to me that you will continue to summon forth that energy within you in order to do this important work. It may be that you have contemplated finishing this and doing something else because it has been, I don't want to say costly, because that's not the right word, but I would say perhaps consuming or draining or dominating. And so let's put up that World card, Kefri. And what's interesting is that this is such a powerful card. But it's saying don't end it quite yet. It's not, you aren't quite yet victorious. There's something yet that needs to be done in here. And it looks to be something that might require an investment of some sort or some travel. So in order for you to really, like, maybe this is about taking it around the world. Maybe you've been working locally and it's so consuming that you've been considering not taking it further because the snowball is so much. But if you can find a way to manage it somehow, I think that this snowball. So Kefri, I'm going to ask for your advice on this one, because I can look at this World card and I can see the snowball and I can say, don't go for the snowball. But on the other hand, I could also say, don't end it. keep it going. But I would say, let's try to keep it going in such a way. And let's go to the recommendation card. So this card, the world card. So don't try and do it all yourself. Don't try and wrangle it and be the queen of all of it. Don't try and manage the entire project, because it's already consuming you just in the role that you do have. For you to take on a whole production role might be a little much. And so let's go to that Two of Pentacles card. Rather, how might you be able to do this in such a way that you can, yes, exactly, juggle it somehow so that you have some downtime, so that you have your time in the water. There's gonna, so you need a time to swim. You cannot be giving up the swimming, and maybe even, and I've been getting into trying to do some stuff on ships because I love ships. And so maybe there's some stuff. Yeah, okay. So maybe there's something to do where you could take this not so much as a grueling road trip, but maybe it's going to be a lovely boat trip or some kind of.
Guess what I'm doing next year? That's hysterical. I'm doing a cruise, a musical cruise to Alaska next August.
Oh, fabulous. And I wanted to organize some tarotainment cruises. And so maybe our paths will cross. I love it. Let's, I love it. And then we're doing some jazz cruises in January, February, and those are fabulous. And so if you're performing on this music cruise, I think that's wonderful, because it puts you in a crew. You don't have to manage the entire thing yourself. You're not the focal star of everything, but rather you are one among a bunch of people to make this experience delightful. And you can have a breather. The idea with the ocean also is this kind of in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. And I get the impression that it's been a bit push, push, push lately. And so you need some time to kind of to have that. And even though it's not going to be totally even, because your hands are in there and it kind of makes that infinity sign a little wonky, even so, it's going to give you the ability to dance through this in such a way that it's going to be manageable, in the same way that that strength card is opening or closing the mouth of the lion. Not clear, but it doesn't matter as long as he doesn't bite, So in this way, as long as you can stay afloat, and maybe that's money-wise also, maybe this allows you to stay afloat but not have to kill yourself, would be a lovely way to live your life instead of having to push, push, push. And so I see that as being, so yes, keep up the great work. Look at all the blessing that you are bringing to yourself and to others. And then all along the bottom row is this kind of outward thing of being in the sun. And then the top row is kind of this inward process of what you require for your own feed. So I see the top row as being, take care of yourself and don't make yourself the biggest star in this, because it's a lot to handle. Instead, make yourself a part of the show and let yourself flow back and forth with whatever their needs are. You just kind of fall in where you need to fall in, and give yourself the water and the rest that you need in the time upcoming. And that then will give you the ability to re-summon the strength for whatever is going to be your next cycle, because this is kind of the winding of this cycle. In order for you to gain the energy for your next cycle, you can't keep pushing. You're going to have to take an in-breath. So that's what I'm seeing here. And I'll hand off. And perhaps you want to say something, Karen, or perhaps you want to listen to the rest of the fire hose with Karen. With
I just want to see, did you guys install like little cameras in my house that like what my life is going on? So
this is our payoff, of course. This is our payoff.
Like right on when we do this. I mean, this is scary. No, this is all completely my life right now. I mean, I love what I do. And the biggest thing is that card of just the balance, because I am, it's all me. I mean, I just did a women's retreat with 70 women, and it was just me for 4 days leading the whole thing. It's exhausting. And now I'm turning right around and doing another one up in Portland in a week and a half. So yesterday I just lost it. It was like, I am exhausted, and I'm immediately going right into the next one. And that's my biggest question, is around balance and all this stuff, and taking on the world and thinking, I got to do this. I'm helping people. I've got to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. But not if you kill yourself. So it's
and I think it's ironic that my most popular song of all the songs I've written, what gets the most hits on Spotify is a song called "I Will Be Gentle with Myself." Hello, we write what we need to say. We be right what we need to hear.
I want to learn
Yeah.
that song. We can sing it together. That'll be great.
Yes, truly, truly. So thank you. This is fabulous.
Let's see what that 7th card is. Oh, and then Kemper's going to do some reading here himself because that's just been me talking all this time.
Thank you, Alison. I am looking at it a bit deeper, I think, but on the same as Alison. And when we reveal the words that in here, you will be quite amazed, I think. This is about knowing that you have a support from a higher ground, actually, or a higher realm. That is what you need to think about here, because you don't need to produce something new here. You have exactly what you need, actually. You need to balance what you have, and that's the world card there that you was asking about, Alison, because here I see that like that card is hiding a portal to something new, but now it is in a position where it is saying, no, don't do that. Don't open to something new here. And
Could you put that in the
also,
focus position, if you don't mind?
yeah, thank you, Alison. Outside of this circle, you also have the symbols from the Gospels, actually, the 4 symbols of the 4 Gospels in Scripture, and that also, as this is in the non-advised position, I read this like you don't need to explore any more spirituality because you are saved and protected as it is, actually. So go with what you have, Karen. Do a development with what you have, but you don't need to produce anything new at this stage, actually. And still in the past you have been very you have not hesitated in going to new things, and that is also why you feel this urge now that you want something new, or you need something new, but you don't need that, actually. You need to produce and present what you have, actually, and work with bringing in a bigger perfection in that, actually, and see that it is very good today, but it can also be better. And you can use the same repertoire, you can use the same source, so to speak. You don't need to produce anything. And that's the 9 here, where you are now, because you have the foundation now. And there is something in this card, because these cups here can be filled with light, actually. And that is your mission in this, producing light and give to the world. And you are perfectly able to do this, actually. You don't need new materials to do that. And when you have accepted this, you will feel a lot of strength in this, actually, because that will bring in a lot more light in this. Because here we have the astrological sign of Leo, and Leo is the sun, actually, and this lion is the symbol for the sun, and it could be the sun that is up in the heaven, or it could be the sun that is in Scripture also. It's both of them, and this is a lady that can handle both of them, and that will be you when you are coming to the balance in this, actually. And that we see in this card, actually, that you have the balance. It's just you need to juggle it to bring in the balance, so to speak. And there you need more time for yourself, actually. So you can, and there you have the boat in the background also that you were talking about. And you can do that because that is going in a new environment, but it is not going into a total new repertoire, actually. So that's That's good, actually. And he has a very big hat also. So you have a lot up in your hat, actually, to present to the world if you are thinking about that.
This
And
is right on. This is so
yeah,
right on. Everything you're
yeah.
saying, I totally resonate with.
No, thank you.
Yeah, because that creates some of my stress is thinking, oh, I need new workshops and new retreats. I've got
Yeah,
so much information and
yeah,
years, I don't
yeah,
even need to do
yeah.
anything. And that takes away
No,
so much
no.
stress.
And before we go to the
Recycle, upcycle, recycle, reuse.
Yeah,
before
exactly.
before we go to the seventh card, I will take the six hidden words that are in this, actually. And there is a word that I read that coming from the top of this down, that is the advice from a spiritual force, so to say. And you will be surprised because the word is slow down, ease up, retard, and slacker, and declarate. And there is another word here, and that is actually the Greek letter theta. And the meaning of that is think of the thanks and be good to go. So that is a grace here that you can also feel in this. You have everything. That is a message for something higher also here to you. And then there is another word, and that is right. So it's right to go, actually, where what you have. And then there is another word that is aunt, and I don't know what that means, but that's a word in here. And attention is here also as a word. And again, the word slow down is repeated again, actually. So
Well, that
that's
totally makes sense. And is the right RIGHT or could it be WRITE?
is
Or is it
RIHT. It's
RIGHT? Okay,
right. But
go to
it
the right.
could be
Okay.
both, actually. So
Yeah,
that,
because writing is what my happy
yeah,
place is
yeah,
songwriting.
yeah,
So, and I
yeah.
haven't been doing that because I'm so
Yeah,
busy.
yeah, and also this word at that I was reading as attention, it can also mean a story, actually. It is a story, actually, also in Hebrew, actually, representation of that. And also we have the Greek letter theta that also could be going back to Greek mythology, and that is also story and writing, actually. I was
Wow.
thinking that when I saw the letter. And the seventh card here, the mystic card, is the King of Wands, actually. So there he is.
Well, look at that. Beautiful red head.
Oh,
He even has your same hairstyle. It's adorable. And so the King of Wands is always, to me, he goes from success to success. You know, it's, and without looking back and without really concerning much with what might not have gone well, because that was just feedback and a learning experience. And now we're moving on. So it's always about what's next and what's next. And so feel confident in what is next and feel confident that you don't have to produce more. You don't have to do more. You can kind of ride on your laurels, so to speak. And because even though there's a laurel in the don't do, look at the double laurels in this strength card. So let's just take a quick look, Kefri, at that strength card. And I just want you to see that she has red roses about her head as well as about her waist. And so there is this idea that you are victorious and infinite. And so you do not have to keep cranking it out. You might go deeper. You might do a memoir. You might do something private, but you don't have to keep showing it off. You don't have to keep announcing it. You don't have to declare it to the world, because you are already, you have long since stepped through that porthole and don't, or porthole, take your pick, the portal, and you don't any longer have to define yourself to anyone. You don't have to justify yourself. You don't have to defend yourself. You just have to move on to your next success and share your brilliance with the next person. By the way, look at the necklace on this King of Wands. It is the skull of a lion. And there are all these completed salamanders. So there's this idea of your work is completed. In the other fire sign court cards, the salamanders are open, and so they haven't yet kind of completed themselves. But your work is now very triumphant, and the wand of this king is off the platform and into the world. So you are fully capable of speaking to the world or staying to yourself or whatever you choose. And it's probably going to be this in-out breath balance as you work out what works for you, what is going to be the healthiest for you now at your 6 age. We have the sixes the sixes are present in the golden light, shall we say. But you're now in the period of probably your Saturn returns are coming around. There's a lot of astrological stuff coming around now at this age for us. And so this idea of a new cycle, new beginning, new stuff is helpful to contemplate and important to do inwardly. But you don't have to share any of that with the rest of the people. You can just share what you already have shared, which is a fabulous body of work. There's 22 albums, 22 major arcana. I love that synchronicity as well. Beautiful. And so be proud. I'm proud of you. I haven't even heard, one or two of your songs. I'm embarrassed to say, but I look forward to listening to more of them. Perhaps we can work together in future and do some of our little shippy stuff or something like that. I honor you for your work. And in terms of this King of Wands, I will also let Kefri speak to his, but it's also another evidence of the high support for what you have going on, because the King of Wands sits squarely in the crown. And so that's where, and the crown, Kefri, let's put up that Temperance card if you don't mind.
Yeah.
There's a card that is about testing and finding our pathway in the world, and the pathway goes to the crown, and the crown is Keter at the top of the tree of life. And so that it's not a rising sun, it's a crown in the distance. And as you look at the cups here, which has the same kind of sense of that Two of Pentacles, that idea of finding the balance, not staying in one extreme or the other, finding a healthy balance between your alchemical work and your physical health, as you make your own personal pathway and support others in their pathway, you bring together this beautiful cocktail of, but it's not for you, it's the spiritual waters. For the people outside that you are serving, it's coming to them in a more concrete sense. It's their experience they have with you. Let's go back to that Two of Cups. It's Two of Pentacles there. What you bring to them then is something concrete that they can really take hold of somehow, which is the experience. It's the song. It's the act of singing. It's the chanting. It's the talking. It's the participation. It's the crying. It's the sitting in the fire. Whatever it is that's happening in your workshops, that they're having a concrete experience, even as you are internally having an alchemical experience. So you, by serving them, are doing your own thing, but their experience is different. And you don't have to put yourself through the wrenching thing. It's happening kind of at a finer level for you, I want to say. So you don't have to, you can maybe guide the meditations, but not demo them. Something along those lines, something that's going to be less costly to you emotionally, but still allow you to lead will be helpful.
It.
Yeah.
Got it.
Kefri, thank you for letting me go on and on.
No
What more might you
problem.
have for Karen with our king here?
There is a lion in the king here also on top here. So the strength is very central here. And this card is about masculine energy, and it is up in a spot in the tree of life that has to do with wisdom. And you have the wisdom, actually, Karen, and that wisdom will be presented to the world, actually, because this wand here is held outside of the fundament here that the king is sitting on. So you have a sort of a mission to give this to the world, actually. And it is also, this card is connected to the world, the higher form of the world and the positive energies in the world, actually. And the salamander here is about fiery energy, and that is always with you, even if you are feeling worked out and so on. You still have this energy inflow in you, actually, and that is something that will come out when you need it, actually, because the salamander is an animal that is coming out when it is storm and raining and everything. So that energy will always be with you as a protection, actually, when you need it. You don't need to do anything to find it. It's there, actually, and that is again this lion and the connection also to the sun and the sun, so to speak. So that is the spiritual protection, also the divine mind that is with you, so to speak. That's
great.
in, yeah, that's in here.
So there you go, my dear. That is the tarot flow.
That is so fascinating. I love it. It's so fascinating. It's like this whole new world. I mean, now I'm just looking at all the different images and I'm so fascinated by it.
It's
This is
very
great.
cool. And you are
everything
super
you're
cool. So
saying is so right on too. It's so right on what you're saying for me.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Well, according to these cards, you are super cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, Kefri, we have the best guests on here.
Yeah,
so
we
this
have.
is yet
We
another
have.
opportunity to meet
We
a
have.
beautiful and wonderful person. I hope we can work
Yeah.
together in future, Karen. I hope, because I do believe we have a similar intent in bringing people into considering more and considering source and considering all the beauty that's available rather than what we have concluded heretofore. And so I thank you again for being with us today. And any parting words that have been helpful for you? Any philosophies that in your life have been helpful for you? So for anybody who's still watching, thank you for your long attention span. What words of wisdom might you want to share with people?
Well, I just find that this is really interesting. And it's so, for me, it's so validating. I mean, I feel like you've just completely, all the things that have just been going on for me around balance and how do I do this and how do I be more out in the world, but how do I have my, personal life and the overwhelm. You've just validated everything. And, as I said, one of my main songs is Gentle with Myself. And I write these songs. I write all my chants and all my songs. I always say when I do a concert, you get to see what all my issues are, because that's what I'm writing about. And to me, everything you've said is just a validation of what that little chant is all about, where the song just goes, I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. And then the middle part of that song says, and I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. So I feel like everything you've said to me is a validation of that, of just slow down, rest. I mean, I say this to the women that come to my retreats, but am I doing it for myself?
Well, that's usually why we're saying, just because we need to hear them so bad.
That's what I say. You teach what you need to learn. So but your insights are really right on. And it really has opened me up to wanting to learn more about this. So thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Karen Drucker. I hope that we will have to look down, everybody, in the show notes for how to get in touch with Karen and how to find her wonderful music and her retreats and all that good stuff. And I hope we can see you again in a few months and catch up.
I would love to. Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kefri Scarabus. Thank you, Karen Drucker, for helping us today to achieve the tarot flow. And you are fully within it. Thanks again, everybody. And we will see you soon. All right.